Whatever you did yesterday didn't work.
For what?
So that I could be able to start the meeting without you.
Oh, remember yesterday? When I had went in, it said I have to check to see if to add you as a user.
Mm-hmm.
So that I couldn't do, but my question is this: it still wouldn't let you in the meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Should I take the individual? I'm thinking because hold on just a moment.
It's all good.
Hold on. I'm gonna try to see if I should take that. Whenever we have that, I wonder if I take the waiting room off. Because I know, like, without me being there, as far as the hosting or whatever, that's something that because you're not a user on my account. But you know how you asked me.
That might be the reason why it doesn't work.
So but another thing is, it may work still if I take the waiting room off.
What do you think, Jay? You think it'll work if she takes the waiting room off? Or you
not right now. I'm just saying, like, if I'm not there in like future meetings.
If she takes off the waiting room, I guess that could work if she takes off the waiting room.
Okay, so we could try that.
Okay.
Oh man, I was napping again. I'm like, man, I could just nap every day.
I know, right?
Nap, like, it's like I could just always nap. I love napping. How was your trip home?
It was good. It was relaxing. I like literally slept.
Okay. Okay, so look, now you back home.
Relax. My son was happy to be back.
You guys had enough of being out.
Yeah, but not only that, like I'm so used to my own area of like studying and stuff like that. I was kind of excited to get back to my own little, my own little area and stuff. Like I'm not used to studying and then have, because it's my brother. She has 1, 2, 4 of her children that lives there too. And they're kind of like busy around it, you know what I mean, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm used to it being like super quiet when I'm studying and everything. So overall, I had a really good time.
I bet it was an adjustment.
It was a different adjustment. Like for the most part, like when I'm studying, I have it like super, super quiet. So that was like a really adjustment for me.
Okay. Just looking.
Today is the 27th. Have you talked to Daniel lately?
I didn't.
Okay.
I just sent him that message that one day.
Okay.
About, us meeting earlier. And if he wanted to still meet, we could still meet. But
okay.
That was last night, right? Yeah, that was last night.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the last message I sent him. But it's the holy days. So
Sunday.
Yeah, it's the holiday, so I could imagine that it's easier to he's probably busy with like family commitments and everything. So I went ahead and I just signed into my own Zoom and did like a show anyway.
Okay.
And I was like sleepy after. I was like, I don't know.
How long did you go for? Did you go for an hour or 2 hours?
For like an hour.
Okay.
56 minutes, I think it was.
Okay.
I just basically turned it into like a dating profile segment.
Okay.
I went, looked over some dating profiles or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and did a little commentary on it. But I was like, sheesh, I'm sleepy. So but it's all good. We back. Tune in. Black Hair Party presents the Real Talk Show, where we talk about friendship, love, and purpose. Friendship has everything to do with aura. Love is the more, and purpose is about saving time. I am JRX 36.
And I am Alexandra.
This is an All Ages Alliance production. Kind of a tongue twister.
With all those A's.
This is an All Ages Alliance production. This is an All Ages Alliance production. Okay. All right. So, what's on your mind? What's on your radar?
Today, what I had in mind was to kind of start off with the beginning part of the Teachers Aid workshop.
Okay. And then
Yeah.
we'll call it Teachers Aid, and then we'll also call it Youth Instructor Training Program.
Okay. Teachers Aid
/ Youth Instructor Training Program. But they're both going to mean the same thing. So Teachers Aid is using the language that is specific to your location. And then Youth Instructor is for the language for my location.
Okay. Now, what I recommend first is going to be, I got to drop these books off too. I'll recheck them out a little bit longer. And I am going to also tie this in. I'm going to put this, I'm going to get copies of this, and I'm going to put this in there as part of it.
Okay.
And it will, with that being said, this is kind of like, this gives it the Youth Build AmeriCorps touch to it too. So the book that starts off to read is The Life Strategies.
Okay. So we should probably find that young lady so that we could interview her.
I know. I was actually gonna see if maybe like my counselor or mentor or someone could possibly reach out and try to find. I looked on Facebook, I didn't get anything.
Okay. She shouldn't be too hard to find. We just gotta find what program she graduated from then.
Okay.
It should be on there. I don't remember. And then we can reach out to the program and let them know that we're trying to interview her, and then they'll find her for us. So go ahead.
I'm just writing these books down. Looking Back, Moving Forward by Natalia Diaz. And I have my 2 books here. Entrepreneurish Difficult Conversations. How many books do you think I should list? Just list them as I read them, or
Yeah, let's turn it into a running list, and then
Mhm.
every book you read, just put it on the list. Every book that you think is relevant, you just put it on the list as you go along.
Okay.
You know, a year from now, you keep adding to it. 2 years from now, you keep adding to it. And eventually that could be a list that you could go off of to be able to um, have workshops or have trainings. It's like, so when I went to school, you know, all they basically do is give you books to buy, and then they give you assignments based on these books that they had you buy. They'll tell you to read it, whatever, and either make a summary or do something with it. So no different. These are books that you've read. If you think they're relevant, then you could make recommendations for people to read them. You can incorporate them into your workshop by including the short passages, etc. You know, I wouldn't want to limit it. There shouldn't be a limit, because depending on how intensive or how long the program is, you can have however many books.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it could be a 5-year program one day. So like, you know, it doesn't make it's however many books you can handle, and then it'll be just good, just for like a book club too.
Okay. And then for the most part is I have my notes in there from what I've discussed with you, and I want to go back and I want to kind of put those in there, like that pyramid. Um, I want to kind of put that in there and do something with the pyramid. Um, and how to get my main thing would be like how to keep the young individual's attention.
Well, I think that to the degree that you focus on things that have been important to you, you're gonna be fine.
Okay.
And because
Let me write that down. Focus on things that are important to me.
yeah, because you know, since we're calling it a teacher's aid youth instructor training program, then if they're interested, they're interested. If they're not, then they don't got to be a part of it. It's cool. So, what is important for a teacher's aide to know? What is important for a teacher's aide to read? What is important for a teacher's aide to talk about, to think about? You know, you can put like who, what, where, when, why, how, which, like
Who?
what, where, when, why, how, which. Is it 7 of those? Did I say 7?
I believe so. Let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Which, who, what, where, when, why, how.
Yeah, so just that, all those as it relates to teachers aid youth instructor training program.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so who is important to know, who is relevant to this topic, where, you know, where can um the skills that you learn in this training program be applied at, how, which, you know, which strategies are better than other strategies, or, you know, basically just use those as ways to ask yourself questions.
And then for providing supports to students, I am going to just note different ideas and strategies that work for me on how I provide a support for students, such as like I'm going to be reading with one for next year. We're going to be doing like discussions with like books, introductory meetings where we get to know each other, different things like that. What do you think about that?
You know, everything that from having
Okay.
a mentor. I don't like the word mentor. I keep saying that. But for having um, I'll have to think about what word I want to replace that with. I mean, I have another word, but I don't want to use that right now.
Uh-huh.
But for having some sort of guide is not the best word either. Guide, a vision, an assistant. Well, let me look at the definition for mentor. A trusted advisor, advisor trained. A consultant, a counselor, a cheerleader, a coach. A confidant. Okay, confidant. Confidant it is. Is that okay? Let's call it a confidant. You got comrades, you got constituents, and you got confidants. And not everyone should be a confidant. So boom.
That's what you get when you look at mentor.
That's a word that is a synonym. So it's an experienced and trusted advisor to advise or train, especially a younger colleague. However, in give me a second.
Okay.
Heard the shower curtain come down.
Oh.
And I'm like, what? And then I hear some crying, and then the baby's crying, and then there's this crying and all this crying. But everything seems to be good. I guess he just got more scared than anything else that he took the shower curtain down. Okay. Yeah, so they got trusted advisor, but I like the word confidant. I have outlined in my material types of friendships, and I have comrades, constituents, and confidants. So under confidant, that's the idea is supposed to be that those are like your most trusted advisor. Those are like the individuals that you can entrust with like more personal information, or individuals that you can bounce ideas off of when you need to make a decision. Constituents are like the people that you serve, and then comrades are friends that you maybe collaborate with towards some shared goal or something to that effect. So you can have many comrades, many constituents, but you should have few confidants. And like I said, so I want to focus on what we're building here with you, like with using all your expertise and based on your experience. And then I'm going to, as we go along, show you what I want you to work on with them. So that's one of them. Those are types of friendships.
So it's and what is a comrade? A Conrad?
Yeah, comrade, constituents, and confidants. And then confidants comes from the word confide, so people that you can confide in. Constituents is kind of like when you're like a politician or something, or you're in service through some sort of elected position. And then constituents are individuals that like you represent. And then, I mean, I guess we could find, okay.
So a comrade is something basically like a colleague.
It goes a little deeper than that from the way that I'm talking about it. But yeah, you can call it a colleague because see, like a colleague isn't always a positive person for you.
Oh.
Like, you know, you got colleagues, but not all colleagues are gonna like you, right? Not all colleagues are gonna look out for your best interest, but they're still your colleague because you guys are you guys are peers, you're working together. So colleague can work, but I just want the idea of comrade to suggest that it's not exactly all the way positive. A companion who shares one's activity or is a fellow member of an organization, a fellow soldier or member of the armed services, a fellow socialist or communist, often as a form of address. Okay, comes I guess from the word roommate. What does it mean to be a confidant? Yeah, so I mean, we can spend, you know, this is the real talk show where we do talk about friendship, and at some point we can go into more detail on it. I think we can do like a whole show on it. But I want to focus on what we're doing here as we talk about how you're filling up your schedule. But yeah, so my intention is to have you continue to come up with unique ideas, you know, whatever it is that's on your mind.
Okay, hold on, I'm writing this down. Unique ideas.
And by unique, they don't have to be special. I just mean, you know, think about everything that's been important to you up until this moment. Like all the topics that you've had to think about, the books you've read, the lessons you've learned, and you can be unorganized about it, and then we'll organize it as we go along. You know, and that's what these shows are, an opportunity for you to organize your thinking for when you do your trainings. Does that make sense? Because your trainings are going to be about preparing the participant to be a teacher's aide or a youth instructor. And I want you to focus on what's been important to you up until this point, because it'll be easiest for you to be able to talk about. That those are things that, you know, you're an expert at. You are an expert in everything that you've dealt with. Now, as we continue along, I'm going to expose you to different lessons and different learning opportunities that then you can incorporate into what you're doing. And then that's going to allow you to then be able to grow, because then as you learn it, then you'll have practice teaching it. And by teaching it, it should allow you to get more familiar with it. Like, you want to teach the pyramid, well, you got to own it. So by owning it means you got to see how it applies to your life. Like, okay, so for me, it's easy. I want to get to the top of the pyramid. At the top of the pyramid, I'm emotionally stable. And then it starts with my belief systems. And then my belief systems are gonna inform my states. And by state is like my state of being. Am I optimistic or pessimistic? Am I positive or am I negative? You know, and then there's also neutral. However, at the most basic level, there's gonna be a positive orientation or a negative orientation. Neutral comes a little bit later, meaning usually a person isn't neutral by nature, or isn't neutral by programming, better said, meaning usually a person's going to be either optimistic or pessimistic. They're gonna either be positive person or a negative person. So is your belief systems, right? And then after you got your belief systems, then it's your state of being. Are you positive or negative? Then you have your destination, which is where you're going. You know, that's like your future. And then you have your actions, the actions that are going to move you to the future. And then you have your emotions at the top of the pyramid. So, but you have to be able to, you have to see everything through those lens, meaning as you become a youth instructor, what are the belief systems that make for a good youth instructor? Should youth instructors be positive or negative or neutral? You know, should youth instructors have goals? Like, should youth instructors be lifelong learners? I think so, right? If you're gonna,
I think that they should be lifelong learners. And the reason why is because who's to say the next person that get in my position can be able to add books to, you know what I mean? They may be able to add books and add their value and their input.
Of course. What's up, baby? Okay, go tell mommy. Go tell mommy. She got it. Yeah. Yeah, so then that's the purpose, is like everything. Okay, so what kind of mother are you? What are the belief systems that make for a good mother? What is the state of being that makes for a good mother? What are the goals of a good mother? Like, what's the destination? What's the end? What's the end goal? What's the main vision? What are the actions that mothers take? And then emotional stability, like, should a mother be emotionally stable? Like, what are the emotions that mothers have to deal with when they're raising a child? And then you have raising one child versus raising two children. That becomes a different dynamic. So this pyramid has to do with everything. I used to call it a framework for fulfillment. A framework for fulfillment. Let me give you the definition of framework. I would just tell you, but why not just look it up? Framework, an essential supporting structure of a building, vehicle, or project. The basic structure underlying a system, concept, or text. So the basic structure of fulfillment is this pyramid. The beliefs, your state, your destination, the actions, and the emotions. So when I say a basic framework or the basic structure, that means that you can build anything on top of the structure. You know, you want to be a teacher. What are the belief systems of a teacher? You know, like everything can be put through this. And then there's more to it. That's just one. So I call it a tetrahedron, meaning like a three-sided pyramid. So there's three sides to this pyramid. Let me make sure that it is called a tetrahedron. I'm pretty sure it is, but let's see how they define it. Yeah, it's a tetrahedron. 1, 2, 3. Is a pyramid a tetrahedron? A tetrahedron is one kind of a pyramid, which is a polyhedron with a flat polygon base and triangular faces connecting the base to a common point. In this case of a tetrahedron, the base, you okay, boy? Is a triangle. Any of the four faces can be considered a base. So a tetrahedron is also known as a triangular pyramid. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Yeah. So this I call it the tetrahedron of success. And there are two additional triangles that I haven't discussed on here yet, that I include in this, what I call the success tetrahedron. And I'll go ahead and read it to you just so you can become familiar with it. So, and it's the same thing, just using slightly different words or bringing attention to different aspects of fulfillment. So we have the framework for fulfillment, which is beliefs, state, destination, actions, emotions. We have one side called the access pattern. And I call it, at the base is order. The second level is bond. The third level is momentum. The third level is practice pattern. The fifth one is called equipoise. The next one's called one mission, and it's knowledge, awareness, health, happiness, and attention. But basically, these are all pyramids that, as you answer or as you define the words at the different levels, whether it's beliefs, whether it's order or knowledge, like, so knowledge and beliefs are kind of similar. you know.
Mhm.
And then order may seem like it's not so similar to knowledge or beliefs, but when you have proper knowledge and you have accurate beliefs, then you have order. You know, when you have
Mhm.
awareness and you have a bond, and you combine that with your state, positive or negative, then it allows you to move up. You know, so, and by moving up, I mean moving closer to emotional stability. So then, like, my point is that these are learnings that we can continue to do as we continue to talk.
Mhm.
However, I really like the fact that you can take the initiative and come up with all those ideas that you want to come up with first, because you're an expert at that. You know, like your own life story, you're an expert. Talking about the Natalia Diaz story, you're an expert. These books you've read, you're an expert. Um, Using writing as a tool, you're an
Mhm.
expert. Um, what else do you have? What else have you thought about? You know, being orderly, like being organized about your thoughts and your notes. That's something that you're an expert at.
Mhm.
Being able to attract confidence, you're an expert at that. Whether you're conscious of it or not, you know, you have managed to surround yourself with people that care about you, you know, and then there's something about you that has allowed that to happen. So you just talking about your own way of being is going to reflect what it is about you. So that's
Mhm.
important to be on there, you know. So that's why I really like the fact that you know, you're kind of writing out your own notes, and then we can kind of go over it together, and then those can be conversations that you can have with the young people or the
Mhm.
people that you're training on this journey. Let's call it a journey, you
Mhm.
know, because we have all semester to figure it out, you know, and then each day is an opportunity for you to or each day that you come and you interact with them is an opportunity for you to practice your material. Because if you're able to take your material and just practice it, you're gonna fine tune it, and you're gonna find the best words to use. You're gonna find the best approach, and that's ultimately what this is about. It's about, okay, what is the best way for me to do something to get the outcome that I want.
Mhm.
So, mhm. What else you got? What else you got?
I think that's it for now. There, I'm just gonna kind of finish reading. Um, I think I'm doing pretty good on my reading list.
And then you got your own book. So let's talk about that for a minute, you know, because you can also be inspiring, or you can inspire the young people
Mhm.
by even sharing about your journey and writing your book. And the reason I say inspire, because number one, like you mentioned before, writing is a tool, you know, and it's a way of organizing your thinking, as a way of expressing yourself, as a way of seeing the world more clearly. So being able to like write your own autobiography um, can be beneficial, you know. Um, Doing a future resume, a resume to start, but also like a future resume, you know, doing a vision board. Now, these are all things that I have on my calendar here, or on my program. Uh,
Okay. I'm writing this stuff down as you're talking.
yeah, and then that's cool, because then the things that you want to know more about, then we can talk more about, because there's a lot to talk about now, but I don't want to overwhelm you with it, because there's no need to. We could just take it one day at a time, and
Mhm.
we can do it in the order of what's most beneficial for you. Like at this moment, there are some things that are more priority than others.
Okay, so I can inspire them with the book that I'm currently writing. What will be the
Just
next one?
even with the idea of just writing a book, like letting them, like, sometimes we just need permission to do things. They
Hmm.
may not have
Or
thought,
at least keeping a journal too, as well.
right. And then but then giving the journal some purpose. This journal
Hmm.
can become a book. That I mean, there's a lot of people in history who started by writing a journal, and then that journal became a book,
Mhm.
or it became the main text that someone who did the autobiography of them used as, to help them develop the book for that individual.
Mhm.
So yeah. And then you can have even a whole session on how to write your own journal, like how to do journal entries, or just reading examples. Like you can find a book that's based on a journal,
Mhm.
and just take a day to break it down. Because we're gonna spend so much time together. We got so much time to work with these individuals that there's time to do whatever is necessary to get the job done.
Mhm.
So
Idea of writing a book, keeping a journal, how to do journal entries. It was something else that you had mentioned. Hmm.
I don't know.
I only think so far that I have read is Inspire the Young People, the book I will be writing, which I'm in the process of now. Idea of writing a book with keeping a journal and how to do journal entries. And there was something else that you were stating too as well. It'll probably come back to me, but I got all that stuff written down now. I almost needed a new. I think I'm gonna start the year off with a new notebook.
Go.
This one is pretty much gone.
What are some character traits that are important to you, or character?
Um,
I
you have to be happy even when you're not happy. And what I mean by that is,
Jada, go ahead.
if you're really, really having a bad day inside, it's good to put that aside and put the individuals that you're working with, like the students and stuff like that, beforehand, because you don't want to let what's going on inside in your inner circle interfere with that. So it's best to be happy even when you're not happy. And that's what I mean by that.
Let's talk about that a little bit more, but give me 1 second. Jaden, can you find the spreadsheet where we have the people that completed the membership form? Okay, let's see. I want to see these top 3 characteristics for Alexandra. Okay, thank you. Okay, so when you completed that membership form, just to remind you, in case you forgot, that way you can think about this as well. You had selected affectionate, ambitious, and confident as your top 3 characters.
Affectionate, what else?
Ambitious and confident.
Okay, how do you spell ambitious?
Ambitious.
Okay.
Those
I was thinking of it with the H. Okay. Hold on just a moment. Affection meaning is a feeling of liking and caring for someone or something. Tender attachment.
Yeah, showing care or love is what's in parentheses. That's what you would have seen when you chose it. For ambitious, you would have seen the word committed, determined next to the word ambitious. And confident, it has positive. It's more than just positive, but so Jaden is the one that would put these words in parentheses to kind of like give people a synonym of the word. But I would put something beyond positive. I'll have to look at that or think about that. But yeah, so those are the 3 that you chose for yourself. And then for top 6 characteristics I seek in friends, you wrote ambitious, genuine, good listener, leader, polite, and responsible. That's a good list that you chose there. I don't know how much you was paying attention when you did it, but if I'm looking for a friend, I'd like all of the above, right?
Right.
Someone who's ambitious. When I think of ambition, I think about someone who's thinking about the future. Now, I normally wouldn't want to call myself ambitious because of the negative connotation that comes with ambition. But in the way that it's written here as committed and determined, it doesn't have that negativity to it. And really, the negativity is not really real. It's just that some people think that ambitious means money.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't necessarily have to mean money. It could mean committed and determined, like committed to a goal, determined to accomplish something. So I would want, if I'm going to be part of a team, I would like to have at least one team member, but team members that are ambitious, that are committed and determined to the shared goal. Genuine, that's easy, right? Like, of course, you want someone that's going to be authentic and true.
Mm-hmm.
Good listener, yeah, why not? Because then if you have a good listener, then you can have effective conversations and accomplish things because you'll be able to understand each other and you guys can be moving in some sort of direction. Leader, polite, well-mannered, respectful, responsible. Yeah, I like your list. That's a cool list. Why not? I'm gonna have to look through everybody else's list and see if I find those that have similar lists, and then we need to eventually hit them up like, yo, what's good? We waiting on you. We over here building a team and you picked all these good characteristics, but you missing out. And it's all good because you know what, we stay moving, and
Right.
we ain't got time to slow down and wait for nobody. We about to just keep it moving.
Right.
Because we are ambitious and we have goals that we trying to accomplish. And I like the fact that we're taking a break, and I guess it's me and you again for a little bit, and we're able to kind of go back and fill in some gaps,
Okay.
so that we could continue to do work. So we're putting that love on hold. We're still talking about friendship, but we're focused on saving time and saying whose time? Time is the young people that we're working with, their time, your time. And to save time is to be able to provide lessons that will serve as shortcuts to success. So what's a teacher's aid? A teacher's aid is like someone that can give you shortcuts to success, right? And shortcuts just means knowledge and learnings that might take you longer to learn yourself. So we can create experiences where this learning takes place. So that's something that's probably important for you to think about there, is like, as a teacher's aid, is how can we create experiences where learning takes place? So it's not just us talking at people, but it's how can we create an experience where learning takes place? Something to think about. And that's where then we can be creative about assignments, because you can give assignments. You can be like, okay, I want you to interview someone over the age of 65. Why would that be important? Well, you'll find out after you interview someone over 65 and then we talk about it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, you know, I want you to like feel without limit, you know. You have um the green light to be able to take what you know and present it to someone who is hopefully interested to receive it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then as we talk more, we can kind of turn it into create segments even for that. I like the idea of approaching everything like a show. Everything
Okay.
is a show. We just showing ourselves. We just showing out. So right now, this is the Real Real Talk Show. In the past, we had the Taboo Free Talk Show, and now we got the Youth Instructor, Teacher's Aid Training Program Show. You
Mm-hmm.
know, and you're the host, and the young people are the participants. And every day that they meet with you, they're going through an experience, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and you're providing an experience that they will be able to learn from. And shoot, like think about it. I mean, 10 years from now, who knows the impact that you would have on their lives? Like you could literally play a role um in how or in what someone decides to do.
Mm-hmm.
So someone might choose to be a teacher based on their interactions with you. All right, so where we going now? Where we going?
And I think like as I go along, I should just kind of know, you know what I mean? And then in my workshop, I am going to organize my notes from the books like Life Strategies, Difficult Conversations, and I'm going to kind of combine them in there. I don't know exactly how I want to do it just yet, but I'm going to be creative in the way that I do it. Um, but I know that that's something that I would like to do.
I would suggest to take your notes and turn them into articles.
Take my notes and turn them into articles. Okay.
Yeah. That way you can use them like reading passages.
Mhm.
Does that make sense? In the same
Yep.
way that you would be reading off of a book, a passage from a book, you can read your notes. Kind of like basically even, you know how we're doing the recap?
Mhm.
So the recaps should be written kind of like an article. That way is easy to read.
Mhm.
And and then it can become like an article where then you can uh read from it and then even have conversations on the notes.
Mhm.
It's like I don't know I don't even know how shows do it nowadays. I know when I was growing up, at least for soap operas especially, but shows as well, when the
Mhm.
show began, they'd give you like the last 2 minutes of or a summary of the previous show, like
Mhm.
kind of like keep the audience um in the know in terms of what's going on with the storyline. So they'll play like the last couple minutes of the previous episode plus a
Mhm.
summary plus a brief summary, and then they start the new episode. So that's kind of like an approach that we could take with these recaps. um it's an opportunity to let people know what we talked about the day before, and it can serve as a bridge into what we're talking about today.
Mhm. I think that'll be a great idea. Oh, and confidence. I wanted to read that one. Or confident. Confidence means feeling sure of yourself and your abilities, not in an arrogant way, but in a realistic, secure way. Confidence isn't about feeling superior to others. It's a quiet inner knowledge that you're capable. Confident people feel ready for everyday challenges like tests, performances, and competitions.
Okay. And what's the opposite of confident?
Hmm.
Some common antonyms for confident in the sense of self-assured are timid, tentative, diffident, and lacking confidence. An antonym for confident in the sense of sure is
Hmm.
doubtful. So they're saying that someone that's timid or tentative, uh, those are the opposite of what you said. Um, so what would cause someone to be timid? What do you think?
Mm. To cause them to be timid,
Yeah.
that would, I'm not sure the exact meaning off the top of my head, but wouldn't that mean something like nervousness or something?
Yeah. It's along the line. So timid is like slow to speak, usually because of an emotion, and
Hmm.
nervousness can be one. Some sort of fear or doubt. So
Hmm.
some people can be characterized as timid because they may be doubtful. They may, and then that'll cause them to be tentative.
Hmm.
So basically, like not going on, not following through with confidence. Um, I'm gonna look up diffident, see what's definition for that. Modest or shy, lack of self-confidence. Bashful, coy, modest, and shy. Um, so then the opposite of confident, they have the word shy in there. Shy is a tricky word. I don't tend to use the word shy because just because someone doesn't speak up doesn't necessarily make them shy. Uh,
Right.
if you're identifying as shy, uh, that can allude to a lack of confidence.
Hmm.
So there's a cause for the fear or there's a cause for someone feeling shy. And it usually is lack of confidence in either public speaking or some sort of fear on how they will be received. Um, so in in working with individuals with the intention of training them, it's important to create experiences where people can overcome timidity, where people
Hmm.
can overcome being shy. And usually that's participation by creating um, opportunities for individuals to participate. And that could be as easy as asking a question, or it could be an assignment, it could be playing a game. But thinking about ways of increasing participation will be a way to allow for people to become more confident.
Okay, that's a good way to put it.
Um, and then that's what these recordings are here. Like, not to say that anyone's shy, but this is practice. Every day
Hmm.
we practicing showing up and having a conversation about topics that we're interested in. And if you show up every day to this youth instructor training program, this uh, teacher's aid training program, then the individuals that are going through it, the young people going through the program, are going to feel more and more comfortable, more and more confident, and they're going to be able to apply the lessons that they've been learning.
Hmm.
Have you heard of the Big Five personality test?
I've heard of a different kind, but not that one. I've done that one.
Okay, so
Not, I mean, that not that exactly one you're talking about, but I've had done personality tests before,
okay.
and
Um,
I have found out that I am more of an introvert.
you know, that's part of it. And now when it comes to personality tests, I don't personally um like to put myself in the box of personality tests. However, I think that they do have a place. I think that they are a good tool for conversation.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I don't quite like to identify so much with them is because I think that our personality is fluid, meaning
Mm-hmm.
you can choose to be extrovert. You can also choose to be an introvert.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean that you may be an introvert by nature or by birth or by programming, but I think it's by experience. If you have enough experiences that make it positive to be an introvert, then it's easier to take on introvert traits. If you have enough experiences where um, you learn to be open, then you may be more likely to be open. Now, for some people, it may be more fixed, meaning that that's just how they are and that's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I would venture to say that personality traits are learned behaviors based on experiences um, with family, friends, and foes. Um, I'd like to bring the Big Five personality to your attention. That way you could look into it um, on your own time at some point, and then we can talk about it. Out of
Okay.
all the personality tests that are out there, I believe that it is one of the better ones, one of the more
Oh,
accurate ones.
okay.
Um, it's a it's a great tool, so it's called Big Five Personality Traits. And if you Google it, they have a whole bunch of infographics on it. If you YouTube it, you're gonna find individuals talking about it. Jordan Peterson, he's um, someone that I've heard talk about it pretty good. Um, but it's a good tool, especially when you're working with individuals, because usually people will present themselves in one
Okay.
of
So okay. What is the name of it? Let me write that down.
the Big Five personality test or traits, Big Five personality traits. There's other ones like the Myers-Briggs.
Yeah,
Uh,
those ones I've done in the past. Yeah.
yeah, the Myers-Briggs is cool. I mean, they all have a place. They all have a place.
Mm-hmm.
However, um, although they all have a place, they serve different functions.
Mm-hmm.
And uh, some are better than others. Like some, you could use a hammer to build the wall, but you could also
Mm-hmm.
use a power tool, to build the wall. Like the power, the ham, the nailers that got the air hose, and you can just like you'll frame up a house way quicker with one of those. But they're both tools that are effective and both can get the job done. However, the Big Five personality uh, is probably one of the more, I'm not sure if reliable is the best. There's a specific term uh, that it could be reliable,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that like the Myers-Briggs, you might take the test today and then you take it a month from now and you'll get different results. So with the Big Five, usually if you take it today and you take it in a month, it should generally speaking be the same. The results shouldn't change that much. Now, granted, as you change as a human being or as an individual, and you have experiences or traumas, then it is likely that your test results will change over time. However, the big five tend to be more stable over time, is the idea behind it, or is the way I've been taught about it based on listening and research. So but I would definitely spend time listening to people talking about the big five, because as you have individuals that you call students or participants, and challenging situations come up, or not even challenging situations, just to, be conscious of who you're serving, allows you to then be able to communicate in a way that allows you to be more inclusive of all the individuals that you are engaging. Because if you're engaging individuals that are not so open, you need to be able to be sure to communicate in a way that causes them less resistance to whatever information you're saying. Otherwise, you might lose them. If you come across as too open-minded, they may not be able to relate to you. Now, if you're conscious of that and you state that up front, then they can be conscious as to why they may not be resonating with what you're sharing at the moment, and still maybe tune in and not just check out on you. So, and again, these are just personality tests. I know human resource departments love doing personality tests when they hire you. It's like an indicator as to how successful you'll be at your job.
Oh, okay.
Youth build programs do it too. Literally every program I've been in do personality tests, and that's just basically they're trying to get some framework for how you work. The Myers.
It's an indicator.
Say it again.
It's an indicator of what?
Well, let's just look it up so that way.
Of how successful you'll be
at your job. Oh, so I assume that there's not 100% agreement into which is the best personality test. The Myers-Briggs is one of the most popular ones and ones that people are really into. But I believe that the Big Five is, I would call it better than the Myers-Briggs. However, the Myers-Briggs has its place, so I'm not trying to hate on it. I'm not trying to hate on it. They have one called the DISC. I just did that one at work, DISC. I took that one at work. And then the test color, I think I did that one too at work. We didn't do the Myers-Briggs, but we did the test color and the DISC. I don't know if you noticed on the, is it the Myers-Briggs? I believe I have the Myers-Briggs test on the Youth Build Alumni United page. I'm pretty.
You do?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure now that I think about it. You can make a note to check it out. You'll have to scroll through it, and you're gonna come across one that says personality test. And
on our Youth Build Alumni?
You may want to complete it, and then after you complete it, and you kind of learn more about it or you interact with it, then you recommend it to your students.
Okay, yeah, I've done the Myers-Briggs one. I just recently done another one because I did it for my career class.
Yeah, okay.
My college course career class that I took.
I'd be curious to see you take it again to see if you get the same result.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. Like I've taken it several times and my results have changed over time. But now I can't really take it because I'll be cheating. meaning like when they're asking a question, I know how to answer it to get what I want because I do have a default personality. Like if I had to choose one, or the one that best described me, that then after that I always test the same, is the INTP. So I am INTP, and I can see how they ask the questions and I can answer accordingly. Because it's usually that, you know, and doing personality tests is a bit complicated for me because I'm like, I could be any of these. I can choose this, or depending on the situation. However, if I'm honest with myself, INTP seems to be my default setting. Do you remember yours?
No, not offhand. No, but I got it in notes somewhere.
Then you probably want to look into it too. You probably want to go on YouTube and listen to people who have also gotten the same personality type as you, and listen to them speak about their strengths, their weaknesses, because if you are indeed that personality type, then you can learn from others who also have that personality type, because they'll give you strength, weaknesses, you know, and other insight that for someone, like if you're interested in getting to know yourself, you know, in different situations that maybe you haven't experienced, then it's a good tool. It's a good tool. I like the Myers-Briggs. I like the Big Five better, but I do like the Myers-Briggs. There's one called the Enneagram as well. You know, you can just write it down and then you can, let me see if I can spell it right. Enneagram. I put it in the chat box. The Enneagram, I like the Enneagram as well. Like I said, they all serve a different function. They all allow you to look at the world from slightly different lens. You know, so the Enneagram is a system of personality typing that describes patterns in how people interpret the world and manage their emotions. The Enneagram comes from the Greek. Ennea is the Greek word for 9, and gramma means something that's drawn or written. But like I said, they all personality types are ways of creating boxes to be able to put individuals in so that you can better interact with them. So they're labels, and then some people don't like labels. I get it. However, as we're living through life and we're interacting with so many different personalities, if you want to be successful in accomplishing your goals, then it's worth noting or paying attention to the people that you're interacting with, what their personality is, which is why, like I said earlier, and then they had you fill it out in your career class. Usually human resources always have people complete these personality tests. And then these tests are used to give people promotions or not, or to move them into leadership or not. Like, because it gives you information that who's a better leader, who's a better fit for what department. That's why they had you take it for your career class, maybe to see what career best suits you based on your personality. Now, granted, I personally don't want to say that I think that's the best way to decide whether someone should be promoted or moved into one career or the other. However, I think that they can be beneficial when forming teams. And not that there's one best strategy to form a team or not. However, if you want to form teams that work better together, meaning they minimize conflict, then you can work that in there. Now, minimizing conflict doesn't necessarily mean it's a better team, because sometimes a team that has a lot of problems, if they figure out how to work together, then they can be a very strong team. So that's why it's not like there's not like a right answer for any of this. However, these are just tools. And then, you know, as a facilitator, as a trainer, you want to have all the tools that you can at your disposal.
Mhm.
And then if you're working with individuals who are getting to know themselves, such as young people, you know, you can have them complete the Enneagram, you can have them complete the Myers-Briggs. And that way they can better understand themselves from one set of lens, from one tool. Like the Enneagram tool allows them to see themselves in a certain way. So that's the benefit of these personality tests.
Okay.
But if you wanted to get into it more, and I would suggest that you do at some point. I mean, you have a lot of reading now, but personality test is like a big, it's a whole field. You know, it's part of psychology. It's like a big part of psychology. And even sociology if you're looking at groups of people. So it's a big field that a lot of people spend a lot of time paying attention to.
Mhm.
So but you know, you got a lot on your plate in terms of reading. So that's something that you want to maybe leave for later. But it's definitely something to look at, especially when you go into education. You're gonna that's how I came across a lot of these by the classes I was taking. And it feels like every year I would be taking either a new personality test or an old one. I've gone through my notes or whatever, and I was like, oh look, I took the Myers-Briggs. Oh look, I took the this. And even now with this job, you know, I took 2 other personality tests. So
I definitely made note of that.
and they have books like the Enneagram. I have a book for the Enneagram.
Huh?
I have a book that was written based on the Enneagram, for instance. And actually, look, let me when we're ready to go, I'll use an Enneagram as our way out. So whenever you're ready, we'll do the Enneagram. I'm a type 5, and I hope I could find the guy. Let's see. And I'd be curious to see which is your Enneagram, because I wonder if we have the same one. It's possible, because you know, we have so many similarities that it's possible that you might connect. Now the Enneagram, like the Myers-Briggs, is not just I'm not just INTP. I'm not just a type 5. There's something called wings. But anyway, at some point you'll get to, you know, you'll learn more about it. But let's see. Perfect. Ooh, that's kind of long. We'll play partially. We'll play part of it when you're ready. What else you got? Anything else? Or are you ready to close?
I think that's about it with the notes. Because with the five personality traits, I'm gonna add that in, and I'm gonna put that more towards either maybe like an activity within the workshop towards the end or something like that. So that with everything after you completed like everything, or I may put it like towards the beginning, your personality trait, like go ahead and do it now, and then towards the end after you've done everything and complete the workshop, go ahead and see what your results and see if you're still that same person. I don't know. I'm still like trying to really think because I'm gonna get creative with it, depending on how much stuff I actually add into the workshop. But I think that'll be something to take in.
And just know, like, because you're going to be getting them like 2 at a time, or not necessarily a large group, by the time you get some, they would have already completed it. Because again, I'm going to be running them through my program anyway, which eventually we're going to be doing a lot of the same things.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time by the time they get to you, they would have already completed this. So we're working together. So it'll work itself out. Yeah, it'll work itself out. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this. I'm not gonna play the whole thing because it's a bit long, but I am familiar with the way this YouTuber presents it. There are new YouTubers that I'm looking at that also talk about it, but I haven't heard them talk about it before. So I'm gonna go with someone that I'm familiar with, and it's called Happiness for Enneagram Type 5. I'm a Type 5. So you'll listen to it from his perspective, and I'll let that play, and then we'll go from there. Okay. Let's see. Jaden. Let's see. So this doesn't have an audio, I think. Look. Do you know why, or should I just find another one?
Let's see if any comments say that. Let's see, these are years ago, so let's just somebody even supposed to see if anybody else mentions it. See, it shows the sound icon, so it's probably us. It's probably something on our side.
Okay, well, so he's not gonna work. Let me see if it's just a hidden video or if it's, let me choose another one. What's obvious, what's not. So that one, the audio wasn't working, so it wasn't meant to be. Levels of health for, oh, that's too long. Okay, let me see this. I'm trying to find one that isn't too long. All right. Oh, sheesh, that one's long. All right, let me see. This one's a little bit. It says 10 things to know before dating an Enneagram Type 5. I don't know. Something's going on with our audio. So it's not gonna let it play. So what I'm gonna do is, actually, let me go ahead and post the one that I did want to play and post it to the chat box, and then maybe you can open it. And again, we don't have to hear the whole thing, but you could listen to it on your own time. The rest of it, we'll play a piece of it.
Let's see if you can try.
Let me see. Oh. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Unplug it for now. Let's go to the built-in mic, and then let's just save it.
Is the sunburn?
Look at Bessie troubleshooting over here.
Type 5 on the Enneagram today.
Okay.
In my sequence
So now
of
I'm back on this
Freedom for the Enneagram type videos, which
Can you hear it, Alexandra?
But some people have found them useful, so that's great. I just got the idea to show each Enneagram type, and today's type 5, at their best when they're totally connected with their fuller self, and then as they disintegrate down to rock bottom, and then how they can all work themselves back up, because there's always a way for all of us to live a happier and more fulfilling life. Very simple to find happiness. And for a type 5, the suffering comes about when they start to split away from the wonderful sense of unity.
You see him?
Of everything that they experience when they are at their most healthy. They feel no separation between themselves and the outside world. And there's a real sense of knowledge, cosmic consciousness, that all this is interconnected and the patterns are so clear and it's known so deeply into the core of the being of the five that everything is okay. But then the split occurs. And for a five, this split is really particularly concerned with separation between me on my own and the world out there. And the world out there is unknown. And because it's unknown, it's scary, and I feel isolated, and I feel alone, I feel empty, I feel like I need to try and understand the world out there. And I need to really understand it because there's so much going on that I need to build a fortress of my knowledge so I can build a barrier against the world out there. And a five can't understand everything, but they will be drawn into seeking out specific knowledge of something. They want an area that they are expert in because they feel that if they can go into the unknown and really become experts at a certain thing, then that will be a steady bedrock for them to deal with the world. They feel that they have got a place in this universe that they know about and that they themselves have done the exploration and research to understand about, and that makes them feel safer. They're not so interested in learning something that someone else has already learned. They want to go into new areas because then they can feel that's their bedrock. So a five might become interested in a huge amount of different things. Fives I've known, an expert in heavy metal music, an expert in arts like happenings, Dadaism and that sort of thing, an expert in performance poetry and the harmonica, brilliant at calligraphy. What else? Oh, an expert in like the wardrobes and other wardrobe making machinery in his factory. And because a type 5 will have so much knowledge about him, they actually start to feel very confident in that subject. And when they talk about it, this can be very apparent. For example, let's say it was an Ordnance Survey map. So did you say this was a Land Ranger? No, Land Rangers are pink. This is an Explorer, the Orange Explorer. I mean, you know the history of this, don't you? Oh, it's fascinating. Well, to start off with, the whole of the Ordnance Survey was built around the aftermath of the last Jacobite rebellion in Scotland. But we don't need to go back to the very root. But the most important thing to know is that this was the original experimental copy that ended up being used for 40 years. I mean, there's a huge difference between this and a Land Ranger. Not just the chromography, but also the fact that they're totally different scale. This is 1 to 25,000. A Land Ranger is 1 to 50,000. They'd be used for totally different things. But anyway, this was used for 40 years, even though it was just an experiment at first before William Roy. Well, no, William Roy was the one who decided that it should be used. William Roy decided it should be the Land Ranger. But the point is, to be honest, I'm not a 5, so I'm getting confused. But if I was a 5, I would know exactly what I was talking about. And I would be, going on and on and on about it because I'm a type 4, really. I'm struggling to act as a type 5 and be an expert in Ordnance Survey maps. Anyway, so you might have noticed that the way I was speaking was showing my expertise, and the vocabulary I was using was probably more advanced than the vocabulary that me as a 4 would naturally use, because a type 5 is signaling to the outside world and to themselves that they not only know a lot about this subject, but they know it intimately. They know all the subtle nuances of it, and the vocabulary they use will reflect that. And they can talk a lot and for a long time about this subject, which can lead to other people starting to switch off. But because a type 5 has withdrawn from the world, it's not just about knowledge, it's about withdrawing from others who might be, and the world that might be scary. Because a type 5 is withdrawn, they don't always notice what is going on in the world around them, which is strange for a type who is so focused on the world around them, because they've started to go into their mind so much in their own cerebral world that they might not notice that they're boring someone. And a type 5 can often be, when they're less healthy, they can find themselves being a bit socially inept, you could say. That they're socially awkward is better. They can make mistakes in etiquette that they might not really understand. So a type 5's inner world might be like this. So they're laughing at me. I'm sure they're laughing at me. I don't know why. I don't think I've done anything out of the ordinary, but that now I'm ashamed. Now I'm embarrassed. I'm not going to come here again. It seems that people don't realize I have emotions, but I've obviously done something, and okay, I'll try not to do that again. And a type 5 does have extremely sensitive emotions, but because they've withdrawn so much, other people might not really realize it because they seem quite deadened because they're so in their heads. So it's quite possible for type 5s to get very upset in situations and other people not realize that they are upset. And along with this, even in loving relationships and family relationships, type 5s can seem very aloof and distant from other people, not because they are uncaring or unloving, just because they don't know how after a while to express their feelings. It's so alien for them to do that. So they withdraw, they seem to go blank, but it's just because they are looking at the world from their fortress. So they can find it difficult to express feelings with loved ones. Another thing about 5s is that they question everything. They have very alert minds, and they don't like to take anyone else's information or anyone else's opinion on faith. They like to investigate it for themselves. A lot of Enneagram sites and books call the type 5 the investigator. So they will question things. They will try to work it out for themselves, and that makes them, in a way, separate to the rest of society, because a lot of society does not question things. They go along with the accepted way of living, whereas a type 5 is often likely to stand outside that. And this can be signaled. I'll come back to a more political social thing with 5s, but I want to move first to the eccentricity of a 5. Now, 5s can be spotted quite easily sometimes because they can be very eccentric, not just in the way they talk, but in the way they dress. They might, I don't know, wear a monocle or a top hat or very particular style of fashion, which really makes them stand out. Because they don't care. They don't want to be one of the masses, thank you very much. They want to stand out. And it reminds me of a lady I met in New Zealand who was
so that's I'll leave it at that there. But you saw how he was describing it, he gets pretty into it.
Yeah.
How did you connect to it? Was he speaking like something that you could relate to?
I'm not gonna say I can't relate to it. I just think that like for the different, like he was going like super deep, like deep into detail. You know what I mean? And it was like different things like I could say I can relate to, but I would say more of neutral because I don't disagree with what he was saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'd be interested to see you take the test to see which one you would identify as.
Okay.
Because then it, when he goes into it, to the degree that you know yourself, then you'll be able to say, oh, that sounds just like me. So there's 9 of them. That was just one of them.
Okay.
But yeah, so he was basically breaking it down from the personality type of a type 5. And then he goes from when the type is at their best to then when they're not at their best, and then how to get back to your best. And then he does that with all of them, basically saying that, when we are our best, we are a certain way. When we're not our best, we kind of turn into a different way. And then in order to get back to being our best, there's certain steps we got to take so that we can, be our best again.
Okay.
And then he has that for each of the personality types. And if you know what your personality type is and you're not at your best, then by listening to him, you can figure out little clues or little strategies that you could use to help you become your best again. And that's the benefit of this personality type. So I really like this test, the Enneagram, in order for people that have been, I use the word broken, or for people that have had trauma. It's a good tool to find your way back to wholeness. So yeah, that's the Enneagram. So at some point you could learn more, read more about it. But
Enneagram, happiness for Enneagram.
yeah. So I think that's good for today. Today we focus mostly on purpose. Want to go over your notes real quick? That way I can kind of get a mental recap of today.
Sure.
The things that stood out to you.
We got the workshop label as Teachers Aid Youth Instructor Training Program. I listed all of the books. Decided that each book that I read, just to write a nice little short article on it, / book review. How to provide support for students, which I can base it off my ideas and examples of what I have done. We discussed Conrad, and the framework for fulfillment, framework is consisted as a basic structure underlining a system, concept, or text. One of the goals is to inspire the young people of the book I will be writing, which I'm currently in the process of now. Idea of writing a book / keeping a journal and how to do journal entries. We discussed how it's best to be happy even when you are not happy. With the words affectionate, ambitious, and confident was the 3 type words that I used with my entry into joining the Youth Build Alliance. And just continue to take notes from books and turn them into articles like I discussed before. And I'm going to wait more towards the end to see how I'm going to fit the big 5 personality traits in, which is an indicator of how successful you will be at your job. The benefits of personality tests. So I'm going to kind of look into that more when I feel like either in the beginning or the end, or maybe just at the end, when everything is done. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I'm gonna have that in there somewhere. And that's about sums it up for today.
Yeah, and then the idea, let's call the big 5, the Enneagram, all under the topic of personality types. That's more of a tool for you. If you want to be a more effective teacher, then it's important for you to know that. You don't actually have to I'm gonna put them through it anyway. Like I'm gonna have them take different personality tests just so that they can become familiar with it. However, as an instructor, it's a good tool so that you can understand how to better interact with them. Now, if you incorporate it into your training, then it allows you to go deeper on certain issues, because then you're gonna have something to talk about. So then by them saying, okay, I'm a Enneagram 5, you can listen to the Enneagram 5 and then put yourself in their shoes. You know, you can listen to the personality type and put yourself in their shoes, and then be able to, okay, so this is what they're thinking, this is how they're feeling, and then ask them questions, and then it'll allow you to better serve them. So you don't have to necessarily apply it, but I just think it's a good idea for you to know that it exists and that it's a tool where it can make you a more effective instructor. So
Okay then.
Yep.
Well, thank you.
It's been
And
great. I'll see you tomorrow.
all right, bye-bye.
Bye.